goals that he brought in the Maresca season before this. So I don't advocate for, again, getting rid of our starters, but if you're going to need to make money in a time where you're financially screwed because you don't have front of shirt and you didn't make Europe, I'd rather you sell a left back than sell a centre mid. I'd rather you sell a left back than sell João Pedro to Barcelona. That was the link. So it could have been a lot worse. Santos, I'm pissed. I
think United are going to love that one, you know.
Bro, I personally just don't think people have seen the best of him because Chelsea are a disorganized organization and they have not been able to give this guy a clear pathway. His first debut season in the Premier League, he comes in. We have three different managers, an interim, three different managers, including the interim. And we have our probably worst season under this ownership because we don't even have the Graham Potter first season. You didn't know what you was doing excuse. We have the 4 years in, you fully screwed up, reality to face. And it's toxic in the second half of the season. Players are talking to the press, wanting to leave. The system's constantly ever changing. Partners and positions are constantly ever changing. 1 minute we're playing with midfielders in midfield. Next minute, Maresca's inverting Gusto and Reece James into midfield. We're having two fullbacks in midfield even in one game. It's just not stable circumstances to learn, to improve, to develop. Everybody was gassed when he came back from Strasbourg. Everybody was hyped when he was putting in his, player of the year season and captaining them in France and playing against PSG. Now suddenly a year later, he's no good. He's no good.
Oh, he's a baller still.
But
maybe Brazil bias, but I like him.
But this just goes to show that this club is not ready or should not be participating in no project, because how can you go from one extreme to the next 1 year on in terms of opinion and in terms of understanding of the player? That just tells me that we have no patience. We don't know how to develop no players. You can't judge Santos off that season if you actually rated him the season before. It's different with Garnacho. People say, you're a hypocrite. Garnacho's only been there for a year. Yeah, I didn't like him before he got here. He's shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe. So no.
And I shouldn't even work. I don't want Arsenal to end up buying him because our track record with you lot is horrible. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, if I rated someone that was young and developing and promising last summer, what happened this season for me to change my mind and think that that's a fair way to evaluate their game and dock points off of them going into next season? It doesn't make any sense. The guy has got a lot of talent on the ball and off the ball. Obviously, he's got some limitations, but everybody does. Most midfielders do. I think at Man United, if they use him right and they give him stable conditions, and obviously Michael Carrick's there, former midfielder as well of the game, and they give him stability in terms of a partner, I think whilst he's developing, I think he's going to be brilliant, bro. He's captained at lower, younger age groups. He's mature. I said it on my video. He's a father of two. Man's at Disneyland. He's not texting Astrid wet. He's not at parties. He's going Disneyland and he's on roller coasters. And it's funny because Chelsea fans be like, oh, we need to change the culture. Okay. But Jackson's coming back. And by the way, I rate Jackson. I rate Jackson. I when he was here, I was like, this is what he offers to the game. This is what he can and can't do. But we need to lay off him a little bit because look at Liam Delap. But culturally, the guy was getting suspended. The guy was, like I said, a little bit messy off the pitch. The guy's always got an Instagram story to post. So culturally, we're not really improving. A front line with Delap and Jackson in the same squad, that's a lot of red cards potentially. That's a lot of ill-discipline. That's a lot of fighting over penalties against Everton. But then, hey, I could be all day. So we're selling the father of two, brother. I'm not happy about it because I think the guy is a very good player and I think he's going to do very well for us. And if we're talking about systems, he's a better fit for the pivot than Enzo Fernandez. He's got more mobility, more legs, more appetite for tackles and interceptions. And Lavia's always injured, so he's a better option than him because you're not fit. You're not.
It don't matter how good you are, Lavia. Like you're not. You can't be depended on.
And I can't vouch for that Sigua brother because he was injured all season. So Santos, for me, he's got more minutes at a higher level. I have to rate him above him. So we've just sold our second best midfielder for the system that we currently are about to implement, in my opinion. And I have not seen who is coming in through the door, apart from this Barcola brother who just come from Strasbourg.
I mean, he was at Brighton as well once upon a time.
Playing left back. If he even touches left back at this football club, to get
it'll be a Lewis Hall thing, man. It'll be a B-Tech Lewis Hall thing with him, man. I could understand it because he drifts inside and everything. Obviously, as a midfielder becoming a fullback, you're never going to be the strongest 1v1. It sounds like a mess at Chelsea, man. So my final question
is a mess, bro. It is a mess.
Bro, I thought it was a mess, but like, obviously, you're a Chelsea fan, so when you're saying little isms and schisms, I'm like, raw. Like, I like Santos, innit? Probably Brazil bias, and obviously, I watch a lot of French league. So when he's at Strasbourg, in fact, that whole Strasbourg team, even Leon Rosner, you was doing your thing. I like him a lot. I didn't understand selling. I could understand the only way I kind of rationalized it prior to obviously having this conversation with you is maybe he wants more first team football, because I know the system might be changing, but in that 3-man midfield, Enzo and Caicedo are more likely to play ahead of you, and beyond being a squad player or someone's going to put their hat on you, I kind of understand it. But I like him. I think he's got legs. I think he's a decent passer. I do think there's concentration issues, and like you said, little isms and schisms that he could improve at, but he would be a player that if we were to shop at Chelsea, which we have done unnecessarily, that's someone I would have wanted. And I think it's a competent signing. I think it's interesting me speaking to a lot of Man United friends that I've got and seen on social media. Some are doing the whole, we was linked with Elliot Anderson. Now you've got a Chelsea reject. They finished 10th
choice. That's the problem.
Yeah. They're doing all of that kind of stuff. And then there's some that are like, when you get away from it being a sexy and glamorous signing, I think it works out. I think he's got legs, in which they've got him, they've got Telemans. Telemans a fantastic signing for them as well. They've got Maino. If I'm honest with you, that's a lot better balance than what they had. It only lacks legs.
They had a Garte. They paid 60 million for a Garte. The guy can't travel football, can't pass the ball.
Way better than a Garte.
Can't tackle. Like, way better. They've improved their midfield by tenfold, and they've only spent 85 million pounds to do it. And they're definitely probably going to go and get one more, which is obviously going to be more mobile, the legs, the Onana next to the Tielemans. Obviously he's injured, but just an example. Another example of how much of a mess we are, bro. We signed Omega from Strasbourg, the captain of Strasbourg, again, after getting Liam Rossini, after getting Sarr in January, destabilizing their season, destabilizing what they're trying to do. Now Jackson's part of the project again. The same guy that you tried to kick out last summer is now back part of it after you signed Omega, another striker that hasn't been vouched for by the new manager because you thought Liam Rossini was going to make it, even though he's not good enough. And on top of that, you still got Liam Delap, who you signed last summer, but now suddenly we don't even know if he's third or fourth choice striker. Garnacho, who you chased all last summer, is now in the bomb squad. There is nobody that can tell me this is not foolishness. I don't give a damn. There's people on Twitter that want me to pretend like this is a normal functioning institution. If any other football club was bringing in players every summer and they were irrelevant the summer after, the summer before this, we did Renato Vega, Drewsbury Hall, João Felix. Every single year, we make players extinct within the same year. And it's just normal. Just normal, bro. And people want me to pretend like, oh, yeah, this is fine. It's not fine. It's not fucking fine. Yeah? It's not fucking fine. It's a joke. It's malpractice. Yeah?
Malpractice is the right word.
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something, yeah? Karma's a bitch, because when everybody's talking about Enzo's acting out and Cucurella disrespecting the club, if you take it personally and you take it to the badge, absolutely. If you take it to the ownership, oh, this is so fucking deserved. You're putting people in bomb squads. You got Sterling training with kids. You got Disassi training with under 21s. You got, I don't even rate these players. I don't rate Garnacho. I never wanted him, but you're bidding him after a year. Like, you deserve for players to be dunking on your head.
The culture's a bit, the culture's not a bit. The culture's
cooked.
Yeah,
the culture's cooked. So you deserve it. You deserve it, bro. You deserve it. I hope these players are making your life a living hell, even though it's at my expense as well. But sometimes
it's got to get worse before it gets better. Like, everything's got to burn in it. The ashes of destruction, will arise the roses of success type shit. Like, it has to get worse, and you have to get your ducks in a row. I don't want to get you pissed off about Chelsea. Yeah? So my last question for you is, that should be nice to ask a non-Arsenal fan this. What do you make of our chances of getting the Morgan Rogers, the Bruno Guimarães, the Julian Alvarez? I don't believe the Alvarez stuff always.
I'm surprised you've not put your foot on the pedal for Barcola. I feel like Barcola is a better acquisition than Rogers. I think Rogers plays in similar positions to Eze a little bit. I think it's doubling up a little bit there. Obviously, Mikel Mourinho has shown himself to be a very valuable player. So again, you got to keep him in mind. Is he just going to play up front, or what's going to happen there? I think Julian Alvarez is an improvement on Gyökeres from a technical standpoint. Even the press is more aggressive.
You can see how he fits our Arteta's system.
You're not losing anything on the ball striking ability standpoint. I think they both strike the ball beautifully. When they really get it out of their feet and they want to lick it, like they do hit it nice. Neither of them known for aerial. So I do think it's an upgrade if it happens. But I think prioritization would be on Barcola. And I would say, Arteta, you need to be more transitional to get more out of Gyökeres and try and be more of a back and forth team, which I think you can do with Saliba's, with Declan Rice's, with a potential Bruno Guimarães. You've got with Calafiori, you've got like physical players that can move up and down the pitch. I think you guys one thing I say about you guys is obviously maybe you managers become more cautious and more structural and more systematic and more, you know,
100%.
set piece heavy because of that second, the pressure. We need to manage all the minute stuff and just really just don't let any of the finer details be up for discussion or debate. No variables can be out of place. Now you've won it. I think you can
maybe that
allow
puts the handbrake off, and
I think you can allow for a little bit more back and forth because, you know, I think your attack is suited for it in terms of transition. I think Eze would be better transitional. I think Madueke would be better transitional. Martinelli was at his best times at Arsenal when you were really getting the ball forward faster. Gyökeres is another one that suits it. And then if you were to add a Barcola, he would suit it. Alvarez would obviously always suit it. Loads of pacing behind. But I think Bruno Guimarães, I said it in my video, bro. I think that is the best midfielder on the market, realistically, anybody can obtain right now.
And if we get him partnering with Rice, for me, je ne sais quoi. Like,
for me,
I need that.
For me, like, that is the answer to Anderson, Rodri at City, and then it's a 2-horse race, and then everybody else is just whatever. And that's just how it is. Like, Bruno Guimarães next to Rice, that midfield doesn't lack anything. You want forward passes, you're getting that from Bruno Guimarães. You want ball carrying, you're getting that from Declan Rice. You want tenacity, ugly shithousery. You want leadership. You want off the ball. You want tackles, interceptions, aerial prowess. You got one guy taking the corner, you got the other guy heading it in. It is
literally
absolutely disgusting. And for me, as a Chelsea fan, that's exactly the type of midfielder I want. I said it in my video. I'll be fuming if he goes to you. That is a needle mover. That is a needle mover because it allows you to rest Declan Rice when he's struggling with his fatigue and his injuries. You could even take the first 4 weeks off, brother. You don't come back until after the first international break because Guimarães and Zubimendi is more than qualified, or Bruno Guimarães, Lewis Skelly is more than qualified to see you through the first 4 games. And then also he's captain of Newcastle, so more leadership, more experience, played for Brazil. It's one of them signings that football clubs used to do when they were only focused on winning trophies, Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup, and they weren't focused on this under 25 market value, amortization over this many years, this contract, all this nonsense. When clubs were just focused on winning to obtain the best sponsorships, to obtain the best prize money, to obtain more fans, more branding, better Nike deals, better Adidas deals. When it was just about that, that is when these signings get done. And for me, if it gets done, I'll be fuming because it's a brilliant signing. And I think Barcola over Rodgers, and I think Alvarez. The only thing I'll say with Alvarez, I wouldn't prioritize it, is because Gyökeres actually wants to be at your football club. And Alvarez actually wants to play for Barcelona. And for me,
wants to,
when someone is putting their sword in the ground that much for the club of Barcelona, for Arsenal, I don't think you should be, and I say this to all big clubs, Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool. I don't
want to be sloppy seconds.
I don't think so. Absolutely not. Especially, it's different when, like Hazard, we knew the end, but he's coming. Okay, Ronaldo is coming through Man United to Real Madrid.
It's the midpoint. We know, he wants to go Real Madrid one day, but this is what he's saying for now. You won what you won. You achieve what you achieve.
Yeah,
that's the thing with me and Alvarez, bro. It's like, I like him. I wouldn't say he's overrated, but I'm sure every fan base does this. I feel when you're linked with a player and you're so enticed, you start like subconsciously putting them at a level that they're not. Like, I think he's a top footballer. Like, his CV speaks for himself. I think they're the kind of man, and this is I know we need to sign established stars here, but these are the kind of deals I want to see us do more frequently. And what I mean by that is, can you get Julian Alvarez when he's in his homeland? Can you get Salah when they're calling him a Chelsea reject and he's in Italy? Can you get Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne when they're in Germany? I think we need to kind of do them kind of deals there, especially in the market now, because you could argue it's a buyers and sellers market, but I think it's quite basic now, in the sense that if you've got an asset, whether that be Utes at Bournemouth, all the names that we've spoken about, you're asking for, give or take, 100+ odd million quid. So you've got to find these guys before they get there. Or you've got to say, if Kvaratskhelia is the one you want at Napoli, 100 mil, Bob's your uncle. Elliot Anderson, 160 mil. Yeah, you could talk about being overpriced, etc., etc. But this is the going rate. You don't love Caicedo. You know you had to overpay for it. At the time, obviously, 105 million looks cheap for Declan Rice, but we had to kind of do that. I'm sure we wanted to pay a bit less. I'm sure West Ham wanted more. I'm sure they're looking back in hindsight. That's where we're at. And I do, like I said, I need us to do the scouting thing. I need us to move on a couple of players. But why I'm with you with the Guimarães thing is, I'm not being funny. He's 28, turning 29. You could get 5 years out of him. He's not 90 years of age. You know, again, like you said, you know, he fits us tactically. We've wanted him for a while. He's of the right age profile. He might have that burning desire to, okay, Newcastle, this project's done. I need to achieve. It's all fun and games. Arsenal have won, but I haven't kind of won. I think it makes sense. He can play as a 6 or an 8. You can play with and deputise for Declan Rice. There's some great options when you throw a Miles Lewis-Skelly and the Zubimendi. I'm not saying I'm an advocate for it, Matisse, but the Kai Havertz's and the Marinos of this world, they're going to need to be utilised in midfield because we're looking at 50-plus games. You're going to kind of need that. Barcola, it's a love-hate relationship because if I'm honest and I'm being honest and I'm talking about what we need versatility in it. Everyone does, but we need less of these players that can play here, there, and everywhere. Like, what are you type of thing? Barcola is that. I know you're better than Martinelli, but as somebody said on my channel, I think you're the Lionel Messi of Noni Madueke's. I would have preferred to go for you last year in it and not had Noni.
I hear you.
The problem is with Barcola, I like you. I think you're very talented. I think if the end product and the potential was realized, you're one of the best guys in your position in the world. But I feel like I've got enough of them. I feel like obviously I'd have a lot more time for Barcola, but a lot of them conversations could apply to Madueke, it could apply to Martinelli. I feel like I've got a lot of you lot. I feel there's already unanswered questions in our attack.
The left wing, I agree to an extent. I think Barcola is a bit irrational at times.
And he doesn't move me over 90 minutes, bro.
The left wing market is really bad. It's really bad. So I think he's like the best of that bunch. And the only other
option scouts do their job, he defo is.
It's like Leao, and Leao's not going to Arsenal. And I don't think you should be putting up with that.
I'd rather Barcola over Leao. Yeah, I'd rather go for that Nusa brother of Norway before my man, or even the white guy that scored the goal against us. I'd rather do them kind of things than the Rashfords and Leaos and all of that.
Yeah, Rashford's another one. You wouldn't take him, right?
Even though, but 38 games, what are you giving me?
I think Rashford at Arsenal would be fascinating because it's, do you know what it is? It's a gamble you don't need to take.
It's a gamble I don't want to take, bro.
You don't want to take it. You don't need to take it. Like when you're champions, you don't need to take gambles. You need to go and get the best and retain. That is what Chelsea often failed to do, which annoyed me under Abramovich. We only defended our title once. When we won the title,
that's what I want to do. I ain't seen us retain the thing.
Yeah, when we won our titles, we were either complacent or we gambled too much. When really we should have just said, right, let's double down and let's go back to back to back and try and have a period of dominance, which we were capable of, but we never fulfilled. With Arsenal now, you don't want to gamble because you just don't need to. Like gambles are for clubs that need to sort their crap out and have to take risks because that's the position they're in. Exactly. I think Rodrigo would have been perfect before the injury.
But he broke his ACL in it.
Yeah.
Well, he would be the one linked with us forever.
Yeah. I think Rodrigo would have been perfect because Rodrigo gives you goals. He gives you work rate off the ball. And he's still disciplined and humble enough, in my opinion, to not do Leao stuff, which is not, you think he's the big...
And he's dying for a spotlight. Like, Rodrigo is dying to be the one, not just one of many. Like, in a humble way, he's not him saying, oh, yeah, I'm the guy, but I think he needs that. But that's the thing, though, Matisse. It's like, 90 minutes, I'm not moved by Barcola. You're another Martinelli in that if there's 3 actions to score, you'll do 2 well. I know you've got talent, but I'm looking at, and I'm not expecting everyone to do it for 38 games, but I need you to do it for 38 games. When you look at my attacking unit last year, big them up, they got over the line. You had moments, you didn't have consistency, which some of you have had great seasons. Now, it could be like people like Madueke and Martinelli, you've not quite kicked on in the game as much as you kind of need to. Someone like Eze, you're adapting, you've been a bit hot and cold. Gyökeres, us understanding him and him understanding us type of thing. Saka with his injuries. There's a bunch of reasons, but I just group you into uncertainty in my attacking unit. Defense wins titles, we've proved that. And obviously we've scored goals because goals win games. But that's what I'm trying to move away from, the uncertainty. But I am a hypocrite because in terms of having a tool in a toolbox, Barcola makes sense. I do want Rodgers though. I know that if we get Rodgers... Yeah, because I know if you get Rodgers, we'd have what? Rodgers, Eze, and on paper, Martinelli, and maybe the Zola's guy from Club Brugge, but I could only talk about them lot. I know I'm a hypocrite because nobody's sorted out that left wing. Nobody's sorted it out. And I do think if I was to name Mikel Arteta's strongest 11 in my head, which, would be the obvious, every best player you can imagine in the back 5 in the midfield, you go Kai up front and Odegaard in the 10. And obviously my one, which I'd probably go Eze and Gyökeres. The left wing would be the one where you're looking at Rodgers and thinking, oh, I like him out there. I think he could thrive. I think he'd actually become our first choice guy out of Eze and Odegaard because I think Arteta would love him off the ball, let alone on it. One thing that attracts me to him is he's actually played a fair amount of times off that right-hand side. Now, obviously, I want Saka back up to his best, and I want Dalman with that. And I actually like Noni. You're frustrating. I accept you as a squad player. I think you need to be the last one.
Wanyeri as well.
A lot better there.
What's going on with Wanyeri? Wanyeri is another option as well.
I think he's gone. I think that's a money maker. Look at the path. Look at the pathway, Matisse. Like I like him, but at the end of the day, Max Dalman's bad news for you, anyways. He's a bit younger. There's less of a pressing need for immediate football. Right wing Noni's coming for 50 mil. Obviously, you've got Bukayo. You've got a bunch of other guys that can play there. The 10 row, you've got Mr. Odegaard. You've got Eze. You've got Marino and Kai who have played there. In the kind of pivot, you're fighting with Lewis Skelly. You're fighting with Rice. You're fighting with Zubi. Norgard's gone, but you're fighting with Norgard. I'm missing somebody else out. I just think the pathway is dead. I want him to go out on loan. I think he either needs to go out on loan or it's one of them Matisse where the manager says, I'm going to put my hat on you for 5-10 games. You don't get excited if you play well in the first 5. Don't get too down at the last 5. But at the end of it, I'm going to kind of see your level. The only thing that might give me a bit of hope is, obviously, we're disrupted by the World Cup. Well, everybody is, but we're disrupted by the World Cup. So there's a lot of players that won't be there for preseason, maybe not there at the start of the season. So if he takes a chance, maybe he changes his kind of reality, or maybe we won't have a pressing need to pull the trigger, at least until the windows draw into a close. I just think they're going to look at it and say, Manieri's a moneymaker. When you look through my squad, obviously we're not going to sell Saliba and this one and that one. Who's really going to fetch the biggest fee? Allegedly, we're told Gabriel Jesus, Berta wants 20 mil. Berta, you know more about all that stuff than me. I think it's crazy. If we somehow get 20 mil for Gabriel Jesus with his wages and his 2 ACLs, I think that's mad. But that's not bringing in mad peas. Norgard, you're bringing in a nominal kind of fee. Kepa apparently can go for 5 million. You're not really bringing in much. Jesus, to be fair, you're looking at the wages. Nelson ain't bringing in nothing really like that.
But you know what? You just made Champions League final. You don't even need money.
We don't even need money. But I think these man need to come off the wage bill. Vieira brings in about 15 mil rumours. No one else ain't bringing in nothing like Wanyeri. I think it's just free money.
Havertz needs to come off the wage bill.
The next 2 years will be vital, bro. That's why I always say I think that's Berta versus Arteta, because obviously they're key players for us. But Berta might be looking at, we've given X amount of new deals. We brought in next players last summer. They've got 2 years. They're on X amount. The system's always evolving, especially if you bring Rodgers. I think that will be Berta versus Arteta. I genuinely think that will come.
I think
and Odegaard,
I think you lot should be trying to sell Havertz. I think for the wages that he's on, for the lack of guarantees he gives you in front of goal,
and you've got Marino,
the chances that he's capable of missing, and you've already got Mikel Marino, who's the clutch guy, who kind of does the midfield striker thing.
Fact.
I would be looking at moving him on, because I said it when he signed, with those wages, he really does. Same with Gallagher at Tottenham. It can mess up your wage bill. When you've got a decent player on mad wages, or a good player at
his
best
agent
on mad wages,
man, I can't lie.
Bro, it messes up your entire wage structure. Because now, when you're negotiating for players, if they get a word of what certain men are making and they know their starters ahead of them, we know Havertz not a starter for Arsenal. And if he is a starter for Arsenal, Arsenal have got a weak point, or Arsenal have got an area where they could significantly improve. That is not 250k a week money. That is 120.
I think it's 265 as well, to be fair.
Yeah, that's 150 max if you're an important squad player, and 120 if you're a benchy. Like, that's what he should be making. And I know he's German international and he's won things and all these things, but it's not good for the wage bill. It's not. That's a player there where you could get good money for, and you wouldn't miss much. Like, you wouldn't skip a beat, in my opinion. I know he's got.
You shouldn't skip a beat. You shouldn't. He's a key player in that, but. Let's have it right. If we're moving in the way we need to, and I'd keep you for one more year before getting rid of you. But you're not quite the striker, you're not quite the centre mid. I get it. I actually think you get a bad rep sometimes. I do think you show consistency. I do think you're a good squad player. I do think you understand the system. I do think you're a fighter. But then I agree with Matisse. When you remove away from that, you can and you need to do a bit better. That's why I'm saying I think Odegaard. You're kind of playing for new deals. I think obviously Trossard moving away is a step in the right direction. There's rumors around giving Rice and Timber and David Raya naturally new deals. So that's where I think, as much as on the face of it, we've just won the Premier League. We're finally, you remember the protests with the Cronkies and that. We're finally rocking. Yep. We're finally rocking with the owners. Yep. Berta's coming in. Arteta's been in for criticism. Everybody's moving in the same direction. That's why I think, fans are a bit impatient about our lack of business, because we finally got there and they want to see us bring in big money. But I think there's numerous moving points. Whether the players work or not, this is why, as frustrated as I am about the window, I always reserve judgment to the end, because if you don't do anything, it can't be done. I think they need to bring in players that lift our level. I think it's abundantly clear, like at left wing. I do think there's a mandate from Berta to look after the wage bill. And I think long term, not selling for selling's sake, but there was a weird little period at the Emirates where when we was more in dire need for money and we had the Adebayor, Cesc Fabregas, Nasri, whatever have you, Ashley Cole. Well, we bumped ourselves for Ashley Cole, really and truly. But generally, we used to sell better them times. Kind of the second period at the Emirates, we became poor at selling. Iwobi and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain are still there. And I've always said with us, Matisse, it's we don't sell when the iron's hot. That's why, as much as I don't know if I'm all right with Trossard going, I understand a year from now, we might not, God forbid, we might not win the league. You might not have that offer on the table. I look at Ainsley Maitland-Niles, for example. There was a point we could have got 30 million from Everton and someone else. I think when we won the FA Cup, we didn't. He ended up leaving for free. So I think there's that mandate to get more money in. And obviously the wage bill, because a lot of these players are past their sell-by dates. Like technically, Gabriel Jesus has a year left on his deal, which is why I have all the faith in Berta. But when I see these rumors of 18, 19, 20 million, I put myself in the buying clubs. If someone was buying Jesus, like he's got a year left, he's had 2 big ACLs. Fair enough. I'm not going to give him Arsenal wages, but he's going to be on something and they want a transfer fee. Am I exactly frothing at the mouth and running Arsenal down to get a move? Or should I say, you know what, 6-7 months from now, I could agree something for free in January and obviously see if he maintains fitness and etc. etc. For us, we can't. I can rationalize the Kai one, but Gabriel Jesus is on too much money to not be in the match day squad. There were times away from injuries, you genuinely weren't in the match day squad. So
it's mad.
My point is there's many a moving part now, man.
Yeah, I think Jesus is such a madness what's happened to him with injuries. I remember his first season, he was fantastic, man. He was so
first
good.
6 months, bro. Amazing for us.
6 months is all you got, but it's nasty.
It's sad because he got injured in the last World Cup, like the 2022. He weren't even in an Arsenal shirt, and then he kind of worked his way back, got collapsed against United, and any little juice he had
gone.
He died, bro. Like
when you're cooked, you're cooked, bro. That's it.
2 knee injuries, you can't come back from that, bro. Nah. And I wish him all the best, but it's a myth. But yeah, man, Matisse, I've had you here too long, man. It's been great catching up. Where can people find all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, man. Listen, been a pleasure, people. For me,
come on.
It's been MAH is 3 letters on the YouTube as always. It's the most important platform. All these other things are just side pieces, man. I'll be real.
And it's in the title as well, people. So if you didn't catch that, you just got to click the link, man.
There you are. So yeah, man, that's where you find me, people. And in terms of what's coming up, I'm really just keeping my eyes on the transfers. Like I'm trying to cover all big clubs' transfers at the moment, just to diversify. Obviously I got 1 game a week next year, so I got to be talking about something. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Well, we've got about 3 games a week, so I don't know about any of that.
You ain't got time for all that. Yeah. When you're busy and booked, innit? That's all I can say. Well, but me, I got a lot of free time on my hands. I've got ideas that, bro, you wouldn't think that I'd be thinking of, but I'm gonna have to do them.
Oh, you lot, man. Matisse is full of surprises, man. Like, there's conventional stuff from Matisse, there's bare unconventional stuff from Matisse. So make sure you're subscribing, you're turning on notification bells, and you're catching all of that. Matisse, we'll catch up again. One love, my boy. Enjoy what's left of your day and all of that, man. And chat, we couldn't have done it without you lot. So let us know your thoughts, because we've spoken about a lot in it. But on that note, we're out. One love.